Hi guys, I wanted to make a review in a while, but I didn't really thought what I would review, and then I realized why not review a show I've been loving and I've been watching for a very long time, and that is Vikings. So in this video I will be reviewing season 1 of Vikings and hopefully convince you guys why you should watch this as well. This video, like all the other reviews, will be split into a few factors, and at the end I will give my final score. So enjoy. So first of all, the story. The story is basically about Ragnar Lothbrok and his family, but mostly Ragnar. Ragnar wants to sail west, but the Jarl won't let him, so he kind of gets into a debate with the Jarl during the whole season. And he keeps sailing west and finding these new encampments, and he learns about Britain, and he even learns about a priest, and he takes that priest as slave. And during the first season, he kind of just learns about the west and starts his character arc at becoming kind of the Viking king, basically. And this is fucking awesome to look at. I don't know what it is. It's kind of the same thing with Game of Thrones, but a lot more actually action packed, because in this show sometimes just nothing happens, and I like it because something does happen, but it doesn't happen in action, but then it just dives into the characters, and you get, like, for example, there's one scene where they talk about Ragnarok and so, and this show is very good at that. It shines a lot when the action is heavy during the whole story, basically when they sail west and they fight these encampments. But you can also see that the show focuses a lot on mythology and shit, and also on the characters, and it does this very good. Every character has an arc in this show, and I think it's done very well. Even his brother during the whole show or especially season 1, starts turning a bit on Ragnar, and you can see that throughout the whole season. You know, first of all, it's as a joke, but then it turns more and more and more, and he realizes more that he's just walking into the shadow of his brother. They even say that literally in the show. Ragnar has this arc as trying to be a Viking king, basically, and sail west. Oh, he doesn't care about money, and that's very cool to see. He just wants to explore, and you see this in his character to the whole show. Lagertha, his wife, just wants to protect him and the family itself, but she also, especially seasons later, I won't try to spoil too much, but she also gets a very good arc, and even the fucking kids are just great. It's so weird how good this show blends. It's kind of hard to explain. The story I already told you, but what makes the show so good is how it presents the story, and that's kind of hard to explain. I'll explain it more in the cinematography section. But yeah, this first season is very much just about the basics. It's about the main characters. They try to get their arc, and every show should have a good first season, especially because also that makes the second season and the show continue, but also because it has to build up the characters in a good way, and it also sets the overall vibe this show tries to create, although a bit low quality, but it works very well at this. Again, I'll dive into that later, but overall this show is very story based. The battles are important, and as you can also see in this season, the battles keep getting harder as the deeper they dive into England, which I think is very cool. But the show mostly is very story based, so this show is great if you just want action, but it's not the best if you just want action. It's mostly just about the story, so I would remember that if you're gonna watch this show. The cinematography is really where this show truly shines. Also in the story, but the cinematography is just, and I more actually mean the style. The cinematography is good, don't get me wrong. It really blends with the vibe that the show tries to create. You know, it's Vikings, you know, it's medieval, it's dangerous, it's scary, it's fun at the same time, and it creates this dangerous vibe. And weirdly, I think that really is, I keep comparing this to Game of Thrones for some reason, but I think that Game of Thrones misses that part. But here it does it so well. You have like this shaky cam sometimes, but it also has a wide shot some a few times following birds or just seas, and I think that's very cool done, especially in the intro. The intro is just, you know, I'm not gonna show it to you because then I'll get claimed, but watch it online or on YouTube or something. The intro is good. But the show, it's where it really shines. It's very creative. It is low budget. I talked about this in the story a bit earlier. But this show, you can really see it, especially in the first season, because it gets better, obviously. But it is a bit low budget. So if you're not very used to creative or, how do I say this, off Hollywood stuff, it might be a bit hard to get into this show because it is a bit low budget. Like some scenes are a bit ooh, like the Ragnarok scene. I think is so cool how they done it and really, shows the vibe of this show. But it is a bit low quality, so look out for that. I also think it's cool that I said earlier that they talk about mythology and it shows that, which is very cool. But it also, this isn't a realistic show, it obviously, but it's also actual fantasy. There are a few moments where they see like actual Odin and shit, and they kind of play it off as maybe they're just delusional. But also when the priest, although I think that's maybe later in season 2, he also gets, the show isn't it focuses very much on its style, but it also goes farther than realistic, trying to achieve that. I think that's done very cool. But like sometimes characters see Odin, actually the first fucking scene you can see the Valkyries kind of, and I think that's fucking cool. Like, it gives this show as a kind of, we try to approach history, but at the same time this is a show of our own, and it has an own style, and I think that's a perfect way to go with a show. And you don't really see it that much often, because most time people kind of get scared when they try to fuck around with history and all that shit. So I think the show does that very well, and again, I think that's where it shines. The music in this show just works. It's fine. It's nothing too creative. Again, the show mostly focuses on the vibe and the story, and it does use the music to kind of uptone that vibe, and it still has good music, don't get me wrong, but it's not like anything interesting. This is not a show where you would search up the soundtrack, except for the intro. The intro song is mwah. Again, the intro is good, but for the rest, the music just works with the tone. It's Viking like, obviously, and it just works in battle and also just in quiet scenes. And sometimes they have a few moments where people actually play music through the show, which I think is kind of cool. But for the rest, don't expect too much from the music side. The acting in this season is so good, and I still don't understand why. Throughout the whole season, you can see the low budgetness. You can see it. Maybe it's kind of a style they went for as well, but it's low budget, and for some reason it still has super good actors, especially Ragnar. The guy who plays Ragnar, we need to see him in more films or shows. Jesus Christ, he's very good. You can see every actor really has a compassion for their role, and they really just blend off each other, and it works so well. They, like, especially the family, like Legrata, Ragnar, and the kids, they really feel like a true family, and it works so nice. Another actor I want to give credit for, well, I don't know really the names, but the other role I want to give the credit for is Floki. Floki works very good, and the actor who plays him does a very, very fine job. Every actor really has fun with their role, and that always shines. And also, I want to talk about this because the kid actors are weirdly super good. Not really the sister, but especially Bjorn, who also becomes an important character later. But why is he so good? It's so hard to find good kid actors, and you can see that in almost every show, but weirdly this kid acts very fucking good, and I'm very happy about that. So the acting is just mwah, it's just fine. This is just a fine season. I recommend this show/season to people who really just like a good adventure story and who like history and Vikings especially. The show works very well with that. This is just a very good season. It's on Netflix. watch it. Just watch the first episode, then see for yourself. Trust me, you'll like it. All right, it's very good. I give this season an 8 out of 10. I can't wait to review the other seasons, although I don't know if I'm gonna do that for sure, but say in the comments if you guys want another season review. That's fine because I'm already at season 3. And yeah, this was just a fun, short, a bit unedited review, and I hope you guys liked it. Bye bye.